Hello, this afternoon on the marketplace, Ghana Enterprises Agency begins engagement with stakeholders for disbursement of 145 million cedi COVID-19 grant for SMEs.
Highly impacted, as the minister said. And so at a time like that, there's funding that has been earmarked specifically for the tourism sector to support them also build the businesses or sustain the businesses at a time as this.
Also ahead, we'll be talking green financing as banks reveal they are struggling to find projects to invest in.
One of the critical things that had happened in there was the realization that even though we have these blueprints, the implementation has been completely disjointed.
Plus, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority welcomes proposals to increase workers' contributions from the current 18.5%, as well as a retirement age of 60 years.
Approval, it becomes a policy matter. So you also have to escalate it. Yeah, because you see, certain things are enshrined in the Act.
Welcome to the marketplace once again. My name is Daryl Kwao. We will be right back. We begin with the story about business recovery, and the Ghana Enterprises Agency has begun engagement with stakeholders on how the 145 million cedi grant for SMEs to support their post-COVID-19 recovery will be disbursed. This follows the opening of applications for the program by the agency and the Ministry of Tourism for operators in the creative arts industry. Chief Executive Kosiyanke Aye has been explaining to Joy Business the disbursement process in the following report.
The new 145 million cedi grant launched by President Akufo-Addo is targeted specifically at the small and medium enterprises that were affected by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. As part of the processes to disburse the fund, the Ghana Enterprises Agency has been engaging business associations and some SMEs on the grant program. According to Chief Executive Kosiyanke Aye, the fund will be used to take care of SMEs, the tourism sector.
There are two segments. The tourism is also part of the business of the fund that NBSSI is implementing. So we will be implementing the tourism fund as well under the Ministry of Tourism. We are under the Ministry of Trade, though, but we will be. So if you realize, the application process is through the Ghana Enterprises Agency platform. So under the tourism fund, we'll be looking at businesses in the tourism sector who need access to funding support. As you are aware, the tourism sector has been highly impacted, as the minister said. And so at a time like that, there's funding that has been earmarked specifically for the tourism sector to support them also build the businesses or sustain the businesses at a time as this.
Mrs. Aye has been explaining the general criteria for accessing the fund as the application process opened this week.
Is that you have to have a business with employees from 6 to 100. So it ranges from 6 to 100. So you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 100. You also have businesses that have been impacted by COVID, those who are into manufacturing, agro-processing, cosmetics, fashion and designing, those who do the face masks, healthcare, PPEs, all those businesses can apply, but you need to be an SME.
The fund is expected to boost production for beneficiary firms that have been affected by the COVID-19.
Now, banks say they are struggling to find green projects to invest in. Some individual banks have as much as $32 million in their vaults looking for green projects. Now, the Dean of the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Justice Baole, says there are currently very few experts in the green finance space to attract funds. Odilia Ntiauma has been speaking to him and the head of corporate banking at Cal Bank about the challenge.
We seem to have all the time some level of blueprint, either in policy or in regulation, but it always comes to implementation. And you, through some of these projects, can use your platform for advocacy. What would you say are the critical needs in this space for us, one, to put in policy and probably even in regulation that will help Ghana to leapfrog, to be a leader in the green financing space, and of course, issues relating to sustainability?
And it's a very, very important question you just asked, because often we are very quick at coming up with blueprint policy documents, and many times the show had ended after celebrating the launch of a particular blueprint here or there. And so the question you ask is extremely important. And I think that when we had the workshops, one of the critical things that had happened in there was the realization that even though we have these blueprints, the implementation has been completely disjointed to the extent that actors do not think that there's an enabling environment to allow for the practice of what it is we have put in policy. And I'll give you a few examples. One, till date, you would have very limited numbers of consultants who have the capacity to be able to develop a green project from beginning to end and to get it funded. And that's a very important aspect of the whole game, because if you look at the African continent, a lot of the organizations that we have in Ghana, there are a lot of them that are just micro enterprises who do not have themselves the capacity to even put together a winnable proposal. So the skill sets are completely missing. There's also the support of sector-specific support programs. So you're likely to get a generic policy statement that says Ghana wants to encourage green financing. But in terms of specific sectors, when people are going to be entering into specific sectors, you see that there is not much more detailed guidance on how people can get into particular sectors. And I'll give you an example. There are a number of recycling companies in Ghana, but as you begin to engage them, you see that they are completely frustrated. And the reason is that even though you hear the fanfare about support, when you begin to take the steps, you see that there's completely no support for you. So that the other portion of it is how we can actually ensure that at sector levels, there can be specific guidance and specific support. The other thing is that funding in Ghana is largely short-term funding. And a lot of the green finance projects or green business projects are projects that take a minimum of 5 years to realize. And if you are going to be getting a loan or some facility that you are going to be working and paying back within a cycle of 1 year, that makes it extremely difficult. Meanwhile, the funding agencies, the banks, are still holding on to the commercial ideas of wanting to fund and make money within a short period of time. And of course, that's for their business, but for the sustainability of the sector and for the benefits that come with green businesses and green financing projects, you want to be able to calculate the profits, what we call the profit, in other terms rather than the financial bottom line, and so that you can extend your benefits profile to the triple bottom line, for example, and ensure that a lot more value is given to society as much as you give to the players in there. So these are some of the challenges that you can find in there. I hope that there will be a lot more conversation and to bring the actors into the realization that apart from survival as private entities and financial institutions, there is a responsibility for businesses to be able to guarantee the continuous supply of their raw materials. And if that would happen, which would continue to give the financial institutions the businesses they want, then they must be willing to put in money to ensure that the green environment, the climate change, all of the issues related to our survival on the planet Earth is properly supported.
Faro, please.
No, thanks very much. I think what is actually critical or needed in sustaining these kind of initiatives or activities is greater advocacy. We need to do a lot more advocacy to make people understand that doing business in a sustainable manner is not just good for the environment of a society, but it is also good from a kind of the profit perspective. I think the whole issue is what can we do to move away from the current approaches of policing businesses to do business in a green manner to a way in which businesses themselves would understand that this is actually good for themselves, not just for society, but also from the profit-making perspective, so that we move away from the idea of policing to voluntary action. And that's one key reason why we incorporated this idea of a green champions event. We call them champions because we see them as potential advocates. So we want to bring them to the forum to tell us what their experiences have been, what their challenges have been, and what kind of message do they have for other businesses.
Tell me about how your climate change or climate-related facilities, how they're doing currently. The last time we spoke, you said that you had about $30 million sitting there. Sometimes people are not even coming for them. Tell us exactly what's available, what people can come for and all that.
Okay, so I'm right about 30, it's actually 32.5 million that we've raised from 2 developmental finance institutions. The interesting thing is, with our knowledge of green, we sat down and we thought we had done this for 12 companies. Very excited about it. But one of the financiers was good enough to offer us technical assistance. By the time they were done with the assessment, we had 2 left. So it means that all those that we have called green are not necessarily what you categorize as green lending. And so we haven't done as much as we wish we could have done by now. What we are making the technical assistance do now for us is help us build the capacity to be able to identify a true green product or project from what we think is green. Because it's interesting, I've been in several discussions on green and green funding and green financing, and you find that even the people who are your resource persons have a gap in understanding what really green financing is.
And that's a conversation of green financing. There's so much money in there, but just as the banks are saying, they're struggling to find projects to invest in. So if you're an entrepreneur, you should be thinking about it. Now, the National Pension Regulatory Authority has welcomed proposals to increase workers' contributions from the current 18.5%, as well as a retirement age of 60 years. The proposals have been influenced by concerns about the sustainability of pension schemes going forward. Now, speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Chief Executive of the authority, Hifod Atakofi, said a debate is now needed to bring finality to the issue.
Later, we have an overview, an overarching view. The managers of the schemes will have to make proposals to us. And then, because it becomes a policy matter, so obviously that will have to be escalated, to government level, and then a national dialogue, can be had. But so far, that report hasn't come to us.
From your independent, you've seen these actual reports and all the rest. From an independent perspective, do you think that you should throw it up for it to be considered? Because if the contributions are not increased, we may be heading, and I'm choosing my time, my words carefully, we could be heading to a block or be hitting a block.
It is not an independent view as such, that you have to have. But those who are managing the scheme are the ones who have to generate the conversation.
But as a regulator, do you think it should be increased?
It is not in my place.
But someone said that the contributions are not enough, and therefore there have been several proposals by independent actors and all the rest.
You see, if you're a regulator and then you go in, and say that it should be increased, or my view is that it should be increased, then you have already prejudiced the conversation. So it is not in my place.
Speaking as a lawyer here. But for you, if the report should come to your end that it should be increased, will you approve it?
Obviously, no. It is not approved. It becomes a policy matter. So you also have to escalate it. Because you see, certain things are enshrined in the Act. So it will mean that, for example, the Act itself will have to be amended, and this is an issue for Parliament, for example. So you don't want to prejudice any process.
Now, the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and the National Development Planning Commission have affirmed commitment to work with the Design Technology Institute to craft a national precision quality policy. The policy, which will be a key component of technical and vocational education in the country, is expected to address a skills gap challenge and create thousands of jobs and work opportunities for young Ghanaians. Here's more from a stakeholder dialogue organized by DTI in collaboration with MasterCard Foundation. The consultative conference, which was held under the theme Unlocking the Skills and Competencies of Young People for Quality Jobs in Ghana and the Globalized Labor Market, brought together key state and non-state stakeholders, including the Ghana Standards Authority, Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, Association of Ghana Industries, Academia, and Mastercraft persons to provide input into a national policy on precision quality as a key component of TVET education in Ghana. Speaking at the event, Chief Executive of Design and Technology Institute, Constance Elizabeth Swaneker, commended the MasterCard Foundation for their immense role in the implementation of the Precision Quality Program and other stakeholders for their tremendous support so far for the soon-to-be-developed national policy on precision quality.
By a miracle of coincidences, the whole technical universities has adopted precision quality as part of their curriculum. And the Vice Chancellor is working with his staff, students, and master craftsmen in the Volta region to make it a reality. The Minister of Employment and Labour Relations is convinced of the power of PQ as a change agent. And the NDPC readily bought into the campaign when we approached the Director General and his staff to insert PQ in the TVET policy. And this happened only just a few weeks ago.
On his part, the Director General of the NDPC, Dr. Kojo Mensah Brampa, said the proposal of the Commission was to ensure improved skills development for industry by transforming apprenticeship training model from a supply-driven approach to a market demand model.
And because a lot of these output from our technology and industrial development apprenticeship, which we find and we usually term the wayside, has become a challenge. It has even gone to the extent of affecting even some of our vocational and formal training institutions. For many of the outputs that we bring out, it does not meet the purpose of the need of industry. And therefore, a lot of them are imported. And the key thing has to do with the quality of these products.
Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Balfour, was emphatic. One sure way to facilitate the development agenda of the nation is to have highly skilled and strongly motivated labor force.
Whether we like it or not, the future of work is real. So for a nation, we have no choice than to prepare and adapt to that future. Otherwise, what is going to happen is that other countries will be up for it, they will prepare for it, and before you know, somebody will sit in the US and will be doing work in Ghana. Somebody will sit in Nigeria and will be doing work that are meant for Ghanaians in Ghana, because we ourselves have not prepared ourselves for that. So I have said to myself that we are going to begin a conversation of how we want the world of work to be, perhaps in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. And one of the institutions we are going to partner is the NDPC to implement that.
The conference forms part of a 3-year Transforming Youth TVET Livelihoods for Sustainable Jobs partnership between Design and Technology Institute and the MasterCard Foundation as part of the foundation's Young Africa Work strategy in Ghana. All right, you're watching The Marketplace. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we'll head to the Central region because the Agric Development Bank and distributors of a Confu fruit juice have embarked on a tour of the factory. Remember the story about a shortage of juice? Well, we will be getting some more on that after this break. Welcome back to The Marketplace. Now, the Agricultural Development Bank and distributors of a Confu fruit juice have embarked on a tour of the Confu fruits and juice factory and their farms. Now, the essence of the visit was to get familiar with the operations of the company. This visit was also to assess the growth of the company following rumors that it has shut down operations. ADB and the distributors of the company's product expressed excitement when the company took them round to inspect the 5,000-acre pineapple farm. Now, operations manager of the factory, Frederick Obna-Akwa, told Joy Business the factory has a structured system that would withstand all shocks. Richard Kojenyako has more.
The distributors of Confu juice, a locally manufactured fruit juice across the country, paid a familiarization tour of the farms and the factory to understand at first hand the operations of the factory and what the factory has put in place to keep it running. There were rumors about a week ago that the factory had shut down its operations because the quantity of the product supplied had gone down. The rumors were subsequently discounted by management. Following that, the distributors of the company's product undertook a tour of the facility to ascertain the true picture of the company's standings. The management of the factory took the distributors and the Agri Development Bank officials to their 5,000-acre pineapple plantation and to the factory sites.
So far, I should say this is very impressive. We've seen most of the sites and looking at what they have done. If it should mature, I believe we'll be able to get enough products to supply to the Ghanaian market. And I believe going forward, more people should be encouraged to invest in the production of the pineapples.
Very, very impressed. I'm very, very impressed. We are the distributors, and actually we have not been here before. We didn't know they have this huge farm behind the factory doing the production. But today that I've come to see what they are doing, I'm very, very impressed with what's going on here. But you see, we had some juices on the market already. So when we brought this and we're like, these ones are pure juice. They were like pure juice, and the way they were packed the size was good enough for children to take to school. So it was very easy getting parents to start, buying those ones for their children to send to school.
Head of the Agri Value Chain Financing Department of the Agricultural Development Bank, Isaac Denchiansong, says the bank's investment in the production of pineapple at the Confu juice has been a worthwhile venture, and they will do more to support agri-related enterprises in the country like that.
About 70% of the cost of production depends upon land development, and so we have to finance that. We also considered financing irrigation for them, and that is why you saw that dam being constructed. We decided to finance about 1,560 acres of the farm, but the farm manager is so good that he has even gone beyond our targeted financing.
Operations manager of the local fruit juice manufacturing company limited, Frederick Obna-Akwa, says the factory has been structured to give off the best of the Ghanaian ingenuity and want people to support the company rather than being in a haste to see it fall.
This is your company. In fact, most of you here have been here from the beginning. I'm sure you wish us so well, but there are certain protocols we would want you to follow. For example, I'm in Accra in a meeting and somebody calls me that, I'm in your factory, I want you to open for me to go. I don't know where this one works, except for our factory. Where somebody comes and say, open the gate for me to go inside to video. Otherwise, because I've heard that you are not working. So if you are not opening, then it means you are not working. But this is food industry. I wonder how you go to a food industry without prior appointment, without protocol, and then you just would, even in this era of COVID. You see, if it is for security or for regulatory purposes, that is fine.
The company says their pineapple production in all their 21 sites have been staggered to enable them deal with the demands of the market. From the Confu juice factory, my name is Richard Kojenyako for JoyNews.
From the Central region to the Ashanti region, where Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi Mine has rolled out this maiden mini-clinic initiative to support the health needs of residents of Binseri in the Ashanti region. The initiative is to promote frequent health screening in rural communities amid concerns of possible spike in COVID-19 cases. There's more in this report.
About 500 residents of Binseri in the Obuasi municipality have benefited from Anglo Gold Ashanti's mini-clinic initiative. Anglo Gold Ashanti, in collaboration with AGA Health Foundation and the Obuasi Municipal Health Directorate, is opening a new frontier of bringing quality health care to residents in Obuasi. Dr. Justin Sona Dakora is Principal Medical Officer, Occupational Health.
Today's exercise is following 2 years of assessments that were done in the community towards the redevelopment of the AG mine. Now, as part of the mine's redevelopment, they made a commitment that there's no way you can have a healthy workforce in a healthy workplace without having a healthy community.
Drugs were given to residents who benefited from free treatment in addition to counseling on healthy lifestyles. The company assured the free screening will be an annual event to assist rural communities in the country.
We've also had discussions with almost all the health facilities in Obuasi to follow up when we do send a referral, so as to make this not just a one-day event, but an event that follows all the way to the consulting rooms in all the health facilities we find in and around Obuasi. And we believe that this will be a long-lasting, or will leave a long-lasting image of Anglo-Gold Ashanti, Ghana, AG Health Foundation, and then the Ghana Health Service in and around Obuasi.
District Director of Health, Obuasi East, Delphine Gbogbovo, advised residents to desist from self-medication.
You might be having headache, and you might think that going to the drugstore and getting pain medications could make the headache go. Probably it's not just an ordinary headache, or sometimes it's just some psychological counseling that you need. So it is always better to go for thorough examination to be done for you before you go getting drugs. It is always not right to just walk into a pharmacy shop and get any drugs.
Some of the residents lauded the company for the initiative. Anita Selwa Ajugan reporting.
And that's the marketplace this afternoon. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business, including Ghana Stock Exchange, Africa's best performing stock market in half year, returns 36% in dollar terms for investors. Read more on that and other news stories on myjoyonline.com/business. We're back next week. My name is Darryl Kwao. Enjoy your weekend.